Overthinking can feel like being trapped inside a room with your thoughts, with no windows and no doors. Your mind keeps talking, replaying, predicting, analyzing, and criticizing, and no matter how tired you feel, it refuses to become quiet. You lie down to rest, and suddenly your brain starts showing you every mistake you made, every embarrassing moment, every worst-case scenario of your future. You start thinking about yesterday, last year, 10 years ago, and things that have not even happened yet. Your body is on the bed, but your mind is in 1,000 different places. If that feels familiar, I want you to know that you are not alone, and you are not broken. Overthinking is not a sign that you are weak. It is often a sign that your brain is trying too hard to protect you. Your mind has one main job: to keep you safe. It believes that if it analyzes every detail, if it remembers every mistake, and if it imagines every possible danger, you will be more prepared. So it keeps sending you thoughts. What if this happens? What if that goes wrong? Why did I say that?
What did they mean by that?
The problem is that your mind does not have an off switch. It does not know when to stop. It does not know when thinking crosses the line and becomes torture. That is what we are going to work on together. Not how to remove every thought from your mind, but how to change your relationship with your thoughts so they no longer control you the way they do now. One of the most important truths I want you to remember is this: you are not your thoughts. Thoughts appear in your mind the way clouds appear in the sky. Some are light, some are heavy, some stay longer, some pass quickly, but none of them are the sky itself. You are the sky. You are the awareness that notices the thoughts. When a thought appears that says, "You're a failure," your instinct might be to believe it, to feel it as if it is a fact. But that sentence, "You're a failure," is just a collection of words. It is not a scientific report about your entire life. When your mind says, "Nobody cares about you," it feels real, but again, it is a thought, not a guaranteed truth. You can start creating distance between you and your thoughts by changing the way you describe them. Instead of saying, "I am a failure," you can say, "I am having the thought that I am a failure." Instead of, "Nobody likes me," you can say, "I am having the thought that nobody likes me." It sounds simple, almost too simple, but it creates a small space. You move from being inside the thought to standing next to it, looking at it. In that space, you can start to ask better questions. Is this thought actually true? Is it helpful? Is it based on real evidence? Or is it just fear? Is it trying to protect me? Or is it just hurting me? Overthinking often shows up as repetition. You replay the same conversation, the same moment, the same choice over and over again. You may catch yourself having the exact same mental argument for the 10th time. You go through what you said, what they said, what you should have said, what you shouldn't have said. Or you spend hours imagining the future, what might happen, who might leave, what might fail, what could go wrong. Yet after all this mental effort, nothing has actually changed outside your head. There is no new information, no real action, no solution, just tiredness. That is how you can recognize overthinking. It is thinking that does not move. To change anything, you first need awareness. I want you to start noticing when and where your overthinking is strongest. Is it at night, when you turn off the lights and finally get quiet? Is it right after social situations, when you come home from a party, a meeting, or a phone call? Is it when you are scrolling on your phone with no clear purpose? Is it when you make a decision and then start doubting it immediately after? Everyone has patterns. If you can see yours, you can prepare for it. Think back over the last week. When did your mind feel the loudest? Maybe it was midnight, when you were lying in bed and suddenly your brain wanted to discuss every problem in your life. Maybe it was at work, when you were alone at your desk. Maybe it was in the shower, when there was no distraction and your mind had free space. Noticing these patterns is not about judging yourself. It is about saying, this is one of my danger zones. I need to be especially gentle and aware with myself during these times. Another key is learning to separate thinking from problem solving. Your mind will tell you, "I'm just trying to figure it out," but sometimes that is not true. You might be thinking about the same problem again and again without making any plan or decision. That is not solving, that is spinning. When you find yourself stuck on an issue, ask, "Is there a clear action I can take about this today?" If the answer is yes, then write that action down and take one small step. If the answer is no, then recognize that this is a problem that cannot be solved by more thinking at this moment. For example, if you are worried about an exam, helpful thinking looks like this. What chapters do I need to focus on? Let me make a schedule. Do I need extra help? Can I ask someone? That leads to studying, asking questions, and preparing. Overthinking about the same exam looks like this. What if I fail? What if my life is over? What if everyone is disappointed in me? What if I never get another chance? Those questions do not lead to preparation. They just create fear. You can gently stop and say, I am not preparing right now. I am just scaring myself. What is one useful thing I can do instead? One practical tool you can try is writing your worries. Take a piece of paper and write at the top what I am worried about. Underneath, write the things that are currently in your mind. Then create 2 columns. One called Things I Can Control and the other called Things I Cannot Control. Place each worry in one of the 2 columns.
Be honest.
Some things, like your daily habits, your study time, your job applications, your conversations, your sleep routine, belong in the can control column. Other things, like what other people think of you, the past, and many future events, belong in the cannot control column. For the can control side, choose one small action you will take. For the cannot control side, take a breath and say, I don't like this uncertainty, but I accept that more thinking will not change it today. Another powerful technique is scheduling worry time. Overthinking tries to invade every moment, but you can train your brain to worry on your terms. Choose a specific time of day, maybe 7 p.m., for about 20 minutes. This is your official time to think about all the things that are bothering you. During the rest of the day, whenever a worry pops into your mind, you say kindly, not now. I will think about this at 7 p.m. If you are afraid you will forget, write it down quickly on a small list, and then bring your attention back to what you were doing. When worry time arrives, sit down with your list and give your full attention to those worries. Some you may turn into actions. Some you may simply look at and accept. When the 20 minutes are over, stop and do something else. At first, this will feel strange. Your mind will still try to pull you into worrying outside of that time. You just repeat, we'll handle this later. Over time, your brain learns that it does not have to shout at you all day to be heard. Overthinking is not only mental, it is physical. When your thoughts race, your body reacts. Your heart may beat faster. Your muscles may tighten. Your jaw might clench. Your breathing becomes shallow. If you try to calm your mind while your body is still in fight or flight mode, it is very hard. Your nervous system needs signals of safety. One of the simplest ways to do that is through your breath. You can try a small breathing exercise right now. Sit or stand comfortably. Exhale slowly, letting all the air leave your lungs. Then breathe in gently through your nose for about 4 seconds. Hold that breath for 2 seconds. Then exhale slowly for 6 seconds. Do this several times. As you breathe, you can quietly say, in this moment, I am here. I am breathing. I am safe enough. You are not denying your problems. You are simply reminding your body that in this exact second, you are not in physical danger. A calmer body makes it easier to have a calmer mind. Another way to calm overthinking is to come back to the present moment. Overthinking pushes you into the past or pulls you into the future. The present is usually much simpler, but your mind acts like it is not interesting enough. You can train yourself to return to now using your senses. Look around and name 5 things you can see. Then 4 things you can feel with your skin, such as the chair under you, the floor under your feet, the fabric on your clothes, or the air on your face. Then notice 3 sounds around you. Then 2 things you can smell, even if they are very subtle. Then 1 thing you can taste, even if it is just the taste in your mouth. This may sound basic, but it is powerful. It interrupts the mental movie playing in your head and brings your attention back to the real world. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes. You are reminding your brain, life is happening here, not only in your thoughts. Now, let's talk about the way you speak to yourself when you overthink. Many overthinkers are harsh and unforgiving internally. When they notice their mind racing, they say things like, "What's wrong with you? Why can't you be normal? You're so dramatic." Just get over it. Imagine a friend calls you and says, "I'm really anxious. My mind won't stop." Would you respond by shouting, "You're ridiculous. Stop it"? Of course not. You would probably say, "I understand, I know it's hard. You're not crazy. Let's breathe, let's talk." You deserve that same kindness. When you find yourself overthinking, instead of attacking yourself, try saying, "My mind is really busy right now. It's trying to keep me safe, but it's overdoing it. I will take this slowly." Or, "This is an old habit. I'm learning a new way of thinking. It might take time and that's okay." Gentle self-talk is not pretending everything is fine. It is creating a kinder inner environment where change is possible. Overthinking is often connected to perfectionism. Deep inside, you might believe, "I must not make mistakes. I must always say the right thing. I must always choose the best option." If that is your belief, then of course every decision feels like a huge risk. Of course you feel pressure to analyze every tiny detail before you act. But the truth is, mistakes are part of being human. You are allowed to make a choice, learn from it, and adjust later. Instead of asking, "What if this is the wrong decision forever?" you can ask, "What is the best decision I can make with what I know right now?" Then add, "If I learn more later, I can change direction." This belief takes weight off your mind. It tells your brain, "You don't have to find the perfect answer. You just have to help me make a reasonable choice and then learn from it." Daily habits can make a huge difference over time. You can start a simple journaling routine where, at the end of the day, you write for 10 minutes. You do not need perfect sentences or beautiful language. Just let your thoughts come out. Write your worries, your feelings, your questions, your small victories. When your thoughts are on paper instead of only in your head, they feel less heavy. You can see patterns more clearly. You can notice, I keep worrying about the same few things, which helps you address them more directly. You can also create small rules with your phone and social media because constant noise increases overthinking. For example, you can decide, no phone in the first 30 minutes after I wake up and the last 30 minutes before sleep. In those times, you can stretch, breathe, read something calm, or simply sit quietly. This gives your brain a chance to rest and reset, instead of constantly reacting to notifications and information. Movement is another gentle medicine for overthinking. When you are stuck in your head, your body often becomes still and tense. Moving your body helps release some of that built-up energy. You do not need intense workouts. A simple walk, some light stretching, dancing alone in your room for a few minutes, or any small physical activity can help. As you move, you remind yourself, I am not just a mind with thoughts. I am a whole person with a body, feelings, and senses. Overthinking often affects your relationships. After you talk to someone, you might replay the entire conversation in your mind. You wonder if you sounded stupid, if you said too much, if they secretly dislike you now. Your brain invents stories about what others are thinking. Here is something important. Most people are not thinking about you as much as you think they are. They are busy thinking about themselves, their own worries, their own insecurities, their own day. When you catch yourself overanalyzing a social interaction, ask, what evidence do I really have that they are upset with me or judging me? Did they actually say something? Or did they simply look a bit tired because of their own life? You can also imagine that a friend made the same mistake you think you made. Would you judge them harshly, or would you say, it's fine, nobody cares that much? Give yourself the same compassion. When your mind returns to a painful memory, try this. Acknowledge it by saying, yes, that happened. I cannot edit that moment now. Then ask, what did that experience teach me? What did I learn about myself, about others, about life? Maybe it taught you to choose people more carefully, to respect your boundaries, to communicate earlier, to trust your instincts, or to value your time. Write down those lessons. Focus on them. Then tell yourself, I will use the lesson. I will stop punishing myself with the memory. Your mind also likes to jump into the future with endless what-if questions. What if I fail? What if I get sick? What if I end up alone? What if I make the wrong choice? It shows you the worst-case scenario in high definition and full color, but it never shows you your own strength in that scenario. It never shows you your ability to adapt, to ask for help, to learn, to grow, to heal. When a scary what if appears, you can add another question. And if that happened, what would I do? Not to scare yourself more, but to remember you are not powerless. You might feel pain, yes. You might cry, ask for help, make changes, and slowly recover. But you would not disappear. You have already survived days you thought you would not survive. That evidence matters. Finally, I want to say this clearly. Sometimes overthinking is not just an occasional annoyance. Sometimes it is intense, constant, and deeply connected to anxiety, depression, or past trauma. If your overthinking is damaging your sleep, your health, your work, or your relationships, it is wise to get support. Talking to a mental health professional can give you guidance that is specific to your story. You deserve that kind of help. Needing support does not mean you are weak. It means you are human, and you are choosing to care for yourself. As you finish this message, I want you to notice something. You have already begun the process of change. You are listening, paying attention, and trying to understand yourself. That alone is a big step. You do not need to become a perfectly calm person overnight. You do not need to stop every overthinking episode immediately. Instead, set a smaller, realistic goal. Catch your overthinking a little sooner, believe it a little less, return to the present a little faster, and treat yourself a lot more kindly. You are not your overthinking. You are the person learning how to walk through it with more wisdom, more patience, and more peace. Your thoughts are visitors. They can speak, but they do not get to rule your life. Every time you come back to your breath, your body, your senses, and the present moment, you are taking back a little of your power. If you keep practicing these ideas, slowly and gently, your mind can learn a new way to be. It may still be active, it may still be creative, but it does not have to be your enemy. It can become your ally. And you, step by step, can move from a life dominated by overthinking to a life guided by awareness, intention, and calm.